Hello and welcome to the dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube. Yes, we're here at Hoovie's garage. Today, we're going to be taking a look at this, the gated manual Ferrari 599 GTB. Is this the greatest V12 Ferrari of all time? Of course, since this, we've had the F12 Berlinetta, TDF, 812 Competizione, and now Ferrari's new 12 Cilindri. But this was a car that, when I started really getting into cars, was an icon. This car now has a manual gearbox in the center, and today, with Tyler, who's coming along shortly, we're going to be taking it out for a drive to go see what it's like. We've driven here to Kansas. Having started our journey in Texas, we've been at Circuit of the Americas with the Ford GT, effectively kicking off at the GT1 Sports Club, before, with these two, we had a long drive, starting at Pagani of Dallas, making our way all the way through Oklahoma, into Kansas, bringing these two, which are now, I'm not gonna lie, absolutely filthy from our off-roading escapades. Not somewhere you normally take a Ford GT, but sometimes on a road trip these things happen. It's been years since I was here though with Tyler. The last time was with my GT500, 3 and a bit years ago. We stopped by, took out his 60s Mustang. I can't believe I still don't have one. That's a topic for another day, because today is about the 599. Tucked in then between the SLR Roadster and on the other side, the over 100,000 mile Maybach. Cars with great stories. We're here though at Hoovie's garage. This is one I think is both stunning to look at, and I imagine is going to be really quite nice out on the road. Hi guys, I'm Shmi, hello, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome today to Hoovie's garage and the gated manual 599 GTB. Good morning.
Good morning. How'd you sleep?
All good, thank you very much. What a place to be.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. That's not bad, that's not bad, that's not bad. Cars that have stories.
Yes, well, the Ferrari 599 is something that I've always wanted, so very cool car, but of course that F1 flappy paddleness, you know, it's awkward, especially as we've gotten into dual clutches. So an outfit out of Texas at the time, just recently, was doing gated manual conversions, and that's what I got this one in to do. So I've had it about a year on the conversion, about 2 years total. It's about my favorite car to drive.
So was that the plan for you? Was that the I need a manual 599?
I think so, yes. I mean, I always wanted one, and then when the opportunity presented itself to be able to convert it, it was like, yes, immediately.
Done. Straight away.
Yeah, we just took a long trip with it to do the solar eclipse in Arkansas, you know, the eclipse
nice.
across the country. So 500 plus mile road trip. I've put, I think, almost 5,000 miles on this car, which is pretty good for me. Not compared to you with all your road trips and things, but
well, we're kind of back to back on the road. This particular example, though, I've got to say, from a spec point of view,
yes,
this is mega. Yes.
Well, I say Vinaccia as far as the color, but the proper pronunciation is
Vinaccia.
Vinaccia. My Italian accent is from Mario, you know, Super Mario Brothers, so it's not going to be good.
Here's the challenge. Can you pronounce the latest in the lineage of this? You know, the new 12 something.
Oh, the 12 Cilindri or something? He's cringing behind the camera right now.
12 Cilindri.
Oh no.
I think it's one of the hardest things for people to pronounce. But this paint color, Vinaccia, I actually remember the first time I spotted a car in this color. It's absolutely incredible. And the interior ain't so bad either, is it?
No, it's, yeah, the Daytona two-tone.
That is beautiful.
I won't try and pronounce the colors. Honestly, I don't remember. But yeah, the carbon fiber Daytona buckets, and you can see how they did a great job with the center console, making it look like it's factory as far as the putting in the shift gate and all that, because it would just be buttons obviously for the F1. The paddles are gone. Yes.
Well, it looks insane. Do you think we could fire it up and just pull it out a little bit?
Absolutely.
Get this into the middle, because who doesn't like a Ferrari V12?
It does have a bit of an exhaust, so
oh, does it? What's on it before we hear
it? It's good. Honestly, I don't know.
Something. An exhaust. Well, let's take a listen from out here. Getting ready for... Epic. This is mega. The 599 was a big, big, big car. Okay, that is quite the grumble. Well, that sounds pretty good.
Yes.
It'll sound even better when it's warm and we're out and about.
Right, but that's thanks to the Enzo V12, which is what makes these so special. If I could get inside. Uh-oh.
The challenge.
Uh-oh.
I have that all the time. Like, can you find the catch? Can it open?
Uh-oh. There it is.
You got it?
Got it.
Nice. Very, very, very nice. How many? So there aren't many manuals of these from factory.
No,
very
it's
few.
under 20. I know we were talking about it. Is it 13? Is it 18? Somewhere.
Some tiny, tiny, tiny count. I suppose a couple will have been converted since.
Right. So they did about 40 conversions this outfit before actually they went out of business, I believe. So there was a lot of drama with that I was not associated with. Everything was fine with my car, and everything was done very well. One thing that they did differently though, from the factory, they did shift rods. So like old school Ferrari kind of, manual rods going back to work the transmission. And there was a lot of chatter. They talk about the factory gated cars not being very good, just with all the chatter and noise and awkwardness. And they tried to reverse engineer that and had similar results. So they actually went with shift cables. So a lot smoother, sort of Lamborghini style almost, or I guess Ferrari 430 has shift cables, I think. So very smooth, very easy. When cold, warm, it doesn't matter. So very nice.
Much smoother and different. Because an original manual one would be worth like many
$700,000-800,000. Yeah.
Big step.
Yes. So this was like a 40 or 50,000 for the conversion, and you can buy, like, this car was a little over 100,000 because it had miles. It had 29,000 miles when I bought it, but very well maintained, lots of service records. I bought it because of the spec, and mileage is good for me because I like to drive my car.
It's like you either buy a garage queen that has next to nothing and has been lived in a garage and done nothing, or you buy a driver. I think more and more people want drivers. I certainly know that you like. Well, come on.
Well, this one's low mileage, but it's been on fire, so that helps. Make the usability go up a little bit. But yes, everything else pretty much has miles on it.
What's the cleanest car you've ever owned in terms of history?
Oh, I mean, there's plenty with clean histories. This one's good. It's just miles. The Countach is very clean. I just lucked into that. Sometimes I just happen to things.
I remember at the time.
But I'm not like Ed Bullion where I purposely seek out just absolute garbage, the worst examples. It's just the cheapest, whatever the bargain is. So,
Ed has had some questionable cars.
Oh, goodness gracious, yes.
All right, well, this looks pretty good to me. I guess we better pull it on out if that's all right. Go get it outside and
absolutely
go gear this up.
I'm getting a little flying buttress C-pillar envy though.
Oh yeah,
yours is massive.
Like you can actually see straight through it.
Right, mine's a little bit smaller, but it's still there. The 599s. I guess 599 did it first.
It did. The McLarens did it as well.
True.
But after this. When did 599s come out?
2006, right?
2006, around then. This is like, I guess for our kind of age, it was the V12 Ferrari at the time.
It was crazy. Yeah, they were selling for 100, 200,000 over MSRP. People were paying over $500,000 for these, and then they depreciated massively, obviously. So that's why I think this is the best Ferrari bargain there is out there, because the F12 is a big jump in price.
It is.
And then the ones before it are a little more primitive, the 456. And the 550, of course, is a great car, but that's very expensive. The 575, hard to find with a manual. So this is it, I think.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I found myself on classifieds for these a few times recently because it's a lot of car for the money. And now it's got a manual.
Yeah.
Let's get it out.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Well, that's the key to the Ford.
Wait for this color out in the sunshine. Vinaccia, or Rosso Vinaccia, as it's sometimes called. Look at that. Beautiful. That's lovely. Right, let's head round passenger side and hop into this thing. Well, that's not a bad way to begin.
And being a Ferrari, it has a lot more rev to go, obviously. So
red line somewhere up, high eights.
Yes.
What a place. I mean, I have to be honest. Have I even ever been in a 599? That's a weird question to ask. I must have done
surely
it.
Surely a GTO, I think.
Yeah, true, a GTO, but maybe, and even an SA Aperta, actually. But I'm not sure about like a regular GTB. But I tell you what, it's Ferrari of this era, right? It's actually very familiar from the design and styling of my FF, which came only a couple of years after this. That was kind of taking this platform, sticking four-wheel drive in it, and some extra seats in the back.
Right. Yeah, and so I just put it in comfort to where, I mean, it's such a gentle touring car in its normal mode.
Yeah, I mean that's what it was
so
built
nice.
for.
Yes.
But it's enormous, and that's less of a problem out here in the US than it is in Europe. It's a massive, massive car. I think they got slightly smaller for the F12 and slightly lighter as well when the F12 came along. But the interior of this is mind-blowing, like the diamond quilted rear parcel shelf.
Yes, lots of bling.
Is this good to go from the off, or does it need to warm up?
As far as the warm-up shifting, cold, I can't tell the difference.
Yeah,
it's the same.
So it kind of feels, I mean, OEM as it should type thing, but better than OEM. You would say.
Yeah, because you drive an older car like a Testarossa or a 348, and it's like sword in the stone to try and shift when it's cold, you know. I guess even some of the newer ones, but yeah, this one's very easy.
Okay, that's pretty epic. Understatement.
Yeah. It comes with a tune as well when they do this, so
Yeah.
they find another 100 horsepower
Really?
very easily just with an ECU tune.
Now that's odd for an NA engine. To get so much, that's not what you'd expect from a high-powered twin-turbo.
Well, they did already detune it to where it wasn't the same power or more power than the Enzo.
Yeah, true.
So they had to, you know, pull it back a little bit, so it's pretty easy to find.
I think the Enzo, it dropped down like 60 horsepower or something from the Enzo's setup, which they then did bring back in the GTO. It gave you that power back, so the GTO basically has a matched output to the Enzo's, which kind of makes sense thinking about it. This came out 4 years after the Enzo, something like that. That would make sense.
Right.
Isn't it amazing actually to think about that? The Enzo to LaFerrari to whatever comes next, which will be some crazy twin-turbo hybrid V6 something with mad aero, compared to the GT cars. This to the new Dodici Cylindri change is significantly less than the hypercars. That's effectively been an evolution of the 12-cylinder. Well, that's 8,000 RPM, and my word, does it sound epic. That's a way to wake you up in the morning.
Definitely, yes. I sold my SLS because I hopped in this to do trips and things because it is great for road trips and, you know, gentle and relaxing, but yeah, the gated experience just completely transforms the car. Not that the F1, they had it pretty well figured out, of course, with the 430 and sort of this era. It was getting pretty smooth compared to, you know, earlier versions, but you can't beat this, obviously.
No, this is, I mean, I make no secret, my favorite Ferrari of all time is the F50, and one of the reasons for that is the combination of a gated manual shifter and a naturally aspirated V12, admittedly behind you rather than in front of you, as you have here. But it's a combination that doesn't exist anymore, really. Like, well, I mean, it doesn't exist outside of the Gordon Murray cars for a couple of million. It's the only way you can get a manual naturally aspirated V12. I mean, it's the only way you can get a manual V12 full stop, I think.
Would you like to have a go?
I would love to have a go. Yes! This is a good day when it involves one of these. Sliding in. You know it's a Ferrari when it's just beep, 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 beep. They all do that, sir. Ooh, a clutch pedal.
I know.
You trust me with your manual.
I do. Well, you've been in the Dark Horse quite a bit on this trip, so I know you're not rusty on your manual transmissions.
And talking manual transmissions, while it's not a naturally aspirated car, I did recently drive a Utopia.
Whoa.
Which is a twin-turbo V12 with a manual. You can opt to have it with a manual. Let me just figure out moving some of these bits around. Where is the thing? Oh, it had an automatic steering column. Interesting. All right, let's give this a go. How is the clutch? I have no idea how this is. Quite high bite point, but very smooth. Very easy, gentle release.
Yes. So the clutch, I didn't have to replace or modify. The previous owner had recently replaced the clutch.
Yeah.
So they, it's just able to use it, basically taking all of the mechanical or the electronic bits off the transmission and then putting in the old school clutch pedal and shift cables and all that.
Nice. Very nice.
Isn't it smooth?
It's very smooth with that lovely clickety-clack that only a Ferrari gated V12 can do.
Yes. I feel like with the cables and how they set it up, it reminds me of like a gated Mercy a little bit with the feel and the shifting.
Yeah. I mean, you've done much more mileage in those than I have. Oh, that's a nice feeling. It requires quite a push. You know, it's not like a Porsche that just kind of slots with absolute ease from one to the next. Okay, watch the numbers. They go up quickly.
Yes.
Does just changing a gearbox change the amount of power if it hadn't been tuned?
Oh, I don't think
Yes,
so.
the
'cause
drivetrain.
it's all factory. It's
Yeah.
it's the factory gearbox, factory clutch, it's the same gear ratios. It's just taking out the electronic part, the computer that was controlling the shifts and the clutch,
Yeah,
and
'cause-
putting it in use. So there's no difference.
Because that's literally, if you think about what the F1 gearbox was before, right? It's literally an automated, controlled manual gearbox. So-
It's a bunch of hydraulics, and it looks like an angry octopus kind of thing with a computer controlling it. You know,
Yeah,
like
so-
like an evil villain, and you just take it off, and at the principle, it's a manual transmission.
Yeah, to you in the car, it's got the paddle shifters and it's got obviously the buttons
Mhm.
for neutral, drive, reverse, etc. But under the skin, what's happening when you pull the paddle is the computer is effectively running the hydraulics to push in the clutch to
Yes.
do the shift, and that's why it can be a bit clunky. It can be a little bit awkward. It can be a little bit of a car to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Although I feel like in the Ferraris, the GTO, thinking back, and also like in the 16M and that kind of stuff, the Scuderias, they actually did a really smooth job of it. Relative, it's actually really quite good from the factory.
Yeah, I
feel
agree.
like it's quite empty. I'm gonna let these two cars go by and just open up some space for us. It's actually quite a difficult car to drive to get the shift completely smoothly.
You think so? Yeah, that was another issue with the gated factory 599s, because the engine revs so quickly.
Yeah.
So you let off, and the
early.
revs go down very quickly.
It's actually
So-
quite interesting, isn't it? When you go to clutch in, the revs drop right down
Correct.
instantly.
So when they first did it, they programmed a bit of a rev hang to give you a bit of a delay,
Right.
so
okay.
you can sort of lazy drive it.
Yeah.
And I liked it, especially around with traffic. And when I sent it back again, because after 1,000 miles they want to adjust the cables and get everything done, after sort of break-in or whatever, they put the different tune on it, and it was full out crazy race tune with no rev hang at all. And I'm just like, this is a wild, crazy animal. Like, this is totally different than what I had. Like, I want to be able to cruise a little bit. And he told me that the final tune was somewhere in between, which I'm happy with. I had to send it back to him again, not because of issues with the conversion, but my cluster, that the little screen over there, just completely, it lost its mind. They would just go dead, and the mileage went to 0, and the gauges would jump around. It was a very Italian electronic meltdown.
You suddenly had a delivery mileage 599.
Oh yeah, exactly. And he was able to fix that, repair the board, and then I asked him to kind of go back to, their latest tune, and so he did that.
Yeah, you've got to be so much quicker with it.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. That was better.
You're getting the hang of it.
You've just got to actually kind of like use this cliche phrase, grab it by the reins and just kind of chuck it around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Right, out we go. First gear. Wow. What a feeling! This is epic. You really wouldn't know this wasn't from new. I mean, beating around the bush, it is kind of from new. It is Ferrari. It is how it was made.
Yes, more or less. Yeah.
Isn't it such a shame that more weren't made like this? It's the same with like the Californias. I know California, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, when these F1 gearboxes existed, that was the new technology. That was the like new cool thing.
Right.
That was the kind of Formula One literally gearbox that you could have in your Ferrari supercar that you could buy. The lighter weight, much better auto than the standard slush box stuff of the time.
Right. Yeah, and they were nervous to order it that way. They thought it'd be difficult to sell, so the people that did spec a manual had to pay like massive deposits, to wait, because they thought, well, if they drop out, then we're just stuck with a car we can't sell, which is interesting to think, because now the premium for any gated manual car is just double or more. In the case of the 599, it's quadruple. So
yeah, it's crazy. And it's interesting also how many people have now started manual swapping like many different cars, right?
Yes.
Even 458s, obviously lots of 430s and Scuderias because it's another easier one to do, given it had the automated manual. But even DCT cars like the 458s people have been doing now.
Yeah, I think there was some goofy ones where it's simulated or whatever with the shifter, but yeah, I think one person was able to pull it off. That it seems crazy to me, considering all the electronics in the 458 and it being dual clutch based. That would be a massive undertaking. But all these F1 cars, it's at principle, it's easy because it is a manual transmission at principle. It's just tricking the computers into working after you put in the pedal and the shift rods or the cables. That's the obstacle.
This is a noise to die for. It's so good.
You're getting it.
What a feeling. What a feeling. And it's a super smooth car. Now, does putting it into sport and race in any way change the engine rev or sound?
I don't believe so. Not anymore. It does change the suspension, obviously.
Yeah, so stiffens it up. I presume it's changing some traction control.
Yes. Yep.
Gizmology, because obviously in a paddle car, it changes the speed of the shift.
Correct.
So going up into race gives you that much more aggressive, brutal shift, like less of a throttle lift needed.
Absolutely.
A lot of people forget that in the F1 gearbox cars, when you shift, you do drive it like a manual. You do go for the throttle lift, even though you're not pressing a clutch.
Right. Unless you put it in their horrendous automatic mode and let the computer think, which is usually a terrible time.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
I actually thought, I have to be honest, that this would feel like more of a pig to drive. I thought it would feel like a bigger...
Like a boat.
Like a less sprightly thing than it is. But the steering ratio is quite tight. It feels quite lively. I mean, it's a Ferrari at the end of the day.
Right. But there are some pig Ferraris, like a 612 or what, in that sort of family. But yeah, they did a really good job with this one. It was very expensive. Ferraris are expensive, but this was absurdly expensive for its time.
That does not get boring. I'm impressed. I'm impressed by this. It drives really well. Oh, I have a desire for a manual V12. This seems to be a running theme. Come visit you, go drive a car, and leave massively wanting one.
Well, I suppose you could get one, but they're not doing the conversions anymore. No. You can buy one. They pop up occasionally. This one with miles would probably be a little bit less, but it seems to be about 200's the number. So the cars are low hundreds and then 50 for the conversion. So there was a little bit of a premium over that for it being done. But I don't know what the fate will be as far as the long term, because without the company still around to support the conversion,
what do you do?
People are worried about that. But then at the same time, there's not going to be any more likely.
No.
I'm not worried about it because everything on its principle is pretty simple and easy. As far as the ECU stuff, that the person that did all that still exists, and with his company, I can't think of his name right now, so I know I could send it off to him if I needed a new ECU or something like that to be programmed. And all this is, a shop that could fix shift cables and replace a clutch just like on a normal manual Ferrari. So I'm not too worried about that, honestly.
Yeah, look after it, drive it every now and then, but don't destroy it. And it's not going to be a problem.
Yes.
It's nice and easy. Every time you have that sound behind you, well, kind of all around you, engine up front, exhaust behind. I love the little clink of the gearbox.
Yes.
I love that. Because obviously you just will never get that. Shift paddles sometimes have a noise that they make. Like the McLarens have a little click to them.
Right.
You know that, you had a 12C once upon a time.
Yes.
I remember that car. But there's nothing like that noise, that sound.
Right.
Just that little tink, tink, tink. Ah, what a cool thing.
Timeless. There is a bit of a quirk with these. I mean, you hear that little bit of a whine from the torque tube since the transmission's in the back. I've been in a lot of 599s, and I I hear that usually, especially in sixths or whatever. But this one's actually pretty quiet for 599s personally, I think. But
It's not bad, and I guess with an exhaust, that's pretty much what you're hearing anyways.
right, yeah.
Over
Ed
top of
Bullion's Flood 599 from Car Trek, which I think it was the flood up to the mirrors almost, and then it was dried out, but I don't know, with a bag of rice or something, and ran again. Boy, that one was loud, and it wasn't a manual. In 6th gear, it was like a dentist drill, and almost like you're in the dentist's office. But
It's funny you should mention that car. I was with Ed when he took delivery of it.
Oh,
so
yeah?
I have been in a 599. I have been in Ed's flooded 599.
what a sight that
Awesome.
one was, yeah.
Last little road down through the gears. That's so nice. It's all on you. And what a feeling it is. We've made it back.
Yes.
We're alive.
So you like it?
I do like it.
It is a bit of work.
It's a lot of work, but it's one of those gearboxes. It's quite like my Aston GT8, which is a car that's equally, let's say, rewarding when you get it right, but it takes some time to get it right. You need to get into the swing of it. Whereas if you drive like a 911 GT3 Touring, that's
Right.
It's right every time. It's just, here you go, done, done, done. But you've got quite the eclectic mix of cars. You've got quite the...
I try, yes. About as crazy as what's basically going on inside, I suppose. But yeah, a little bit of everything, and I don't know. It always just sort of rotates around, but I do feel like, famous last words, this one isn't going anywhere because I do use it a lot, and it's going to be very difficult to replace.
That's for sure. I would thoroughly recommend keeping it. This, the Countach as well. I'm sure you have plenty of others that are on the forever list. The amazing...
The Tow Pig? Yeah.
I've just noticed that from where I'm standing, there's the ever so slightly creepy guy.
Oh, so that's Gilligan's Island. So somebody had a Gilligan's Island party theme here, and so an old television show.
Yeah.
And that was the, they made the boat, the SS Minnow washed up on shore. They're stuck on the island for years, so.
Mega. Well, thank you very much for the drive in that. Really enjoyed it.
You're welcome.
What a car.
Thanks for coming to Kansas.
Good to see you.
Safe travels.
With the car back inside, it's actually amazing how, compared to earlier when we saw taking it out, the color goes almost black. This Vinaccia paint, like I said, I remember from filming a 599 GTO in this color, but have filmed a number over the years as well. It looks amazing, and this spec against the brown tan leather inside is absolutely on point. The biggest surprise to me about the 599 is that despite it being an enormous car, it actually still feels so sprightly. I thought it was going to be more of like a boat, like I said, more of a kind of awkward thing to drive. What a cool experience, and that gearbox feels so OEM. It didn't feel janky or awkward or difficult or unnatural. It didn't feel wrong in the slightest. Yeah, I really appreciated that. I enjoyed driving that. So a big thanks to Tyler for the opportunity to come by, to stop here in Kansas on our road trip with these two. We're now going to hit the roads again, get onwards towards our next stops with my two Fords that are out here as well. That's it for now though. Go check out Hoovie's Garage if you don't already to see more of the Hoopties, more of everything that's going on, and more of the progress as well with the build of the warehouse over at the farm. For today though, that has been the Vinaccia Manual 599 GTB. Thanks for watching guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers.